Sports Talk Nation. Michael Cohen here with you, and glad you could join us as we have breaking news. The New York Mets now have a new manager, and that, of course, is Luis Rojas. He will be the new manager, and really this should come as no surprise. The Mets, going into this process after firing Carlos Beltran almost a week ago, we kind of knew they were going to go in-house for this. They weren't going to go out there and look around and, interview guys like Dusty Baker and Buck Showalter. These were other names that were thrown out there. Even Joe McEwing, a former Met, who is the bench coach for White Sox. The Mets were not going to go out and look for the external candidates. They were going to stay internal the entire process, and that's what they did here in choosing Luis Rojas. Really, the telltale sign that this was going to happen occurred Sunday. Well, everyone's distracted by the NFC and AFC championship games. Dusty Baker gets on an airplane and flies to Houston, and then reporters asked him had he been contacted by the Mets, and he said he had not heard anything from the New York Mets. So really, at that point, you knew the Mets were going to go in-house. Who would it be? Would it be Hensley Mullins? Would it be Tony DeFrancesco, who was the AAA manager for the Mets last year? Or would it be Luis Rojas? And, of course, they end up picking Luis Rojas. Now, I know it's not a name that jumps out to a lot of people. I know it's not a name that's going to make Met fans want to jump out of their seats and go to the ticket window at Citi Field and buy season tickets. I totally understand that. But it is a guy who comes here with a lot of experience in the minor leagues as a manager. Rojas was the manager for 8 years down in minor leagues for the Mets, coached at Rookie League Ball, Single A, High A, and Double A, most recently as 2 years ago. Guy won 555 games as a manager in the minor leagues, has a .539 winning percentage. Now, I know you could sit there and say, well, it's the minor leagues, it's not Major League Baseball. I understand that, but the guy's been in the organization for a long time. He knows a lot of the players that are now are making their way up towards the Major League level. So, from that standpoint, it's a move that you can understand why the Mets made that move. They wanted to stay in-house. They wanted somebody who was familiar with the players inside the organization, and they wanted someone who wouldn't be a big transition from where the Mets were in their all-season plans with Carlos Beltran as the manager to where they are right now and moving forward, and that's why Rojas was picked to be the guy. Not to mention, Rojas was on the Mets coaching staff last year at the Major League level in 2018 as a quality control coach, meaning that he was in charge of analytics, and he was going to keep that job going into this year had Beltran remained as the manager. Now we know he will be the guy. So now he does come, as I said, highly regarded. Let's see here. Rojas was voted, and this is on SNY.TV. Rojas was voted by his peers as the best managerial prospect in the Florida State League in 2015-16, and was voted as the best managerial prospect in the South Atlantic League in 2014. Jeff McNeil, the Mets' third baseman, outfielder, wherever he's going to be moving forward this year, says that, quote-unquote, I think he, being Rojas, would be a great big league manager. He knows the game really well. He comes from a big league baseball family. His emotions are real calm. He gets along well with the players. He's just a baseball guy. I think he'd be a tremendous manager. So a lot of people like the guy. Even last year's bench coach, Jim Riggleman, was quoted in an article in the New York Post this morning endorsing the idea of Luis Rojas as manager of this team. So, as I said, he has a lot of backers in his corner. A lot of people inside the organization like the guy a lot. Whether he'll be a great big league manager, we'll have to wait and see. We'll soon find out when the games start counting at the end of March, going into the regular season. So, that's where the Mets find themselves. They have their manager in tow, so that is all set in stone. The question, of course, now is what do the Astros and Red Sox do as far as their managerial searches are concerned? I guess Dusty Baker might be a favorite in Houston. Not too sure what the Red Sox are going to do. One thing that is very interesting in this report about Luis Rojas being named manager for the Mets is that the Hensley Mullins is going to stay with the Mets as the bench coach. If that's the case, that takes him out of the running for the Red Sox job, which he was also rumored to be a candidate for. And for the Mets, that's a good thing. You have Mullins, who has been around as both as a hitting coach and a bench coach with the San Francisco Giants. Been around a long time. Good to have him stick around, if that's the case, for Luis Rojas as the team's bench coach. And he'll definitely need that moving forward. So Again, Luis Rojas, we don't know a heck of a lot about him other than he's been with the Mets for almost 10 years, a little less than 10 years. He's the son of Felipe Alou. He's the brother of Moises Alou. Take that for what it is. Take that for what it is, for what it's worth. And we move on from there. So it'll be a multi-year deal. That's what's being reported here. So I'd imagine it'll probably be a 2 or 3 year deal. I can't imagine it being longer than that. You knew that whoever was going to be the manager was going to want some security going into this thing. They didn't want to be here in a situation where, hey, I'm going to be the manager, and am I the interim manager or I'm the manager? He's going to be the manager for a couple of years. They wanted that security. You don't want to go into the offseason with this manager thinking that he's going to be taken out based on the fact there is a transition of power and ownership, and based off of the fact that, hey, he was the interim manager. This gives that guy now, gives Rojas now, some security going into this season as the manager, full-time manager of the New York Mets moving forward. So that's what the Mets have done. Now, one other thing I want to bring up here before we go. Derek Jeter getting elected into the Hall of Fame, getting 99.7% of the vote. Much deserved to get into the Hall of Fame. Great career with the New York Yankees. One of the most clutch players we've ever seen in the postseason play, whether it be the great play that he made defensively against the Oakland A's in the division series in 2001, whether it be the big offensive performances he had against the Mets in the World Series in 2000. This is a guy who was always clutch, always came up with a big moment all the way to the end of his career, including winning a game in his last home game as a Major League Baseball player against the Orioles. So always came up with a big moment all the time to Derek Jeter, so very much deserving of a Hall of Fame bid. It's unfortunate that everyone keeps focusing on this one voter who voted against Derek Jeter. Who cares? Honestly, who cares? It's hard to get unanimous votes. I understand that he's been such a great player. He should have been unanimous, but the fact that he wasn't, it's not the end of the world. Hank Aaron wasn't unanimous. Ken Griffey Jr. wasn't unanimous. Mickey Mantle was unanimous. Joe DiMaggio wasn't unanimous. It's hard to find guys who are going to... It's unprecedented to find players who get in unanimously. Only Mariano Rivera got that, and he was a closer of that great Yankee dynasty in the late 90s, early 2000s. So Jeter is in, much deserving. Mets have a manager, and we'll talk to you next time. Remember, folks, follow us on the social media at OpenMicNJ right here on Twitter. Facebook.com/OpenMicProgram. Remember to like and subscribe right here to the Sports Talk Nation and leave your thoughts. What do you think about the new Mets manager? Do you like Luis Rojas? Do you think the Mets have a manager who could be a big-time manager moving forward? We'll have to wait and see. Leave your thoughts below in the comment section. We'll talk to you next time.